subsection 3.
Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, this House adopted a report from the Committee on Gender and Sports during the second session, that is 2023, December, and made recommendations, Mr. Speaker, to the department. And Mr. Speaker, one of the recommendations was that the department shall deliver uniform and standardized guidelines and structures for conducting of league machinani across the county, including the formats and the budgeting and also the awarding. That recommendation gave the department 30 days to report to this House, Mr. Speaker. The guidelines were not brought to this House up to today. Mr. Speaker, on 22nd and 23rd of this month, we will host the sub-count KYISA Games at the sub-count headquarters, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in the recommendations, there was also another recommendation, that was recommendation number 3, that stated, the purpose of ease of oversight, the department should ensure that all league machinani tournaments are flagged off to start at the same time and end period is nearly close as possible. Mr. Speaker, that was not adhered, even after recommendations were made. Then, Mr. Speaker, the other recommendation was recommendation number 8, that in the subsequent league machinani programs, the sporting equipment, such as the balls, boots, nets, bibs, and the team uniforms are procured and delivered to the participating teams before the commencement of the league machinani games. This shall ensure meaningful participation of the teams and reduce the burden of purchasing this equipment as current should be by participating teams. Mr. Speaker, if you purchase uniforms and the balls, at the end of the exercise, you are not helping these teams, Mr. Speaker. And also, Mr. Speaker, the recommendations were very clear that the budget for ward level should be spent at ward level. I'm aware that, Mr. Speaker, these games that will be hosted at, as I have indicated earlier, 22nd and 23rd, they are planning to use the ward budget to facilitate the teams and also to facilitate the activities like tents, Mr. Speaker, referees, security, and other administrative costs like paying the administrators, Mr. Speaker. That should not be the case. The county should have its own budget to facilitate at the sub-count level and also the ward, and also the county level. So we should not use the budget from the ward level. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Ilima Ward.
Speaker, sir, I concur with my honorable member from Betine because having also looked at the whole scenario, you find that the moment we open up the gap or the hole of people using our ward budget without any kind of proper set structures, that opens another quagmire of people entrenching into misuse of funds meant for different activities. In addition to that, who is going to oversight at the count level? I am entitled to oversight at my ward level. Who will be the key person to oversight at the count level, or at the sub-count level and also at the count level? Because this is very key. We are not just a house to sit down. We are here to ensure funds are used in the right way and there are no loopholes for people to misuse the funds. Point number 2. Mr. Speaker, sir, by the time we allocated and did the public participation for the use of the funds at the ward level, we were given the power to use by the people of the ward. Who is giving the power to go to use the money at the sub-count level? Who called the public participation to allocate that particular budget? Because all the money which we use is supposed to be actually going through a particular process which involves the people. Who is involved at the sub-county level? Who is doing the consultation of what the people need or what the sports people need? We've never seen this public participation. And if it has been there, we would wish to see when it was actually advertised and where it was advertised. Finally, Mr. Speaker, there are things which we cannot do outside the law. That constitution is a binding factor. The Public Finance Management Act is also a binding factor. And all these things are outlined within these particular documents. Where are we borrowing a leave so that we can be able to go to make side shows and then go away from what is set as structure for us to follow? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Elizabeth Muli.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I knew it will come to this. Because the joke I saw around when we were doing the policy, I knew we will come, all of us singing the same song, and it has now begun. Honorable Speaker, when you say that ward councils that budgeted for money should now give some money to be spent at the sub-county, how are you telling the wards to behave? Honorable Speaker, it is difficult even for ward councils because they had already made decisions on what to carry out with the budget that was allocated. And Honorable Speaker, you know that wards have not budgeted equal amounts. It's very difficult to say this percentage must go to this because there are even wards that have not done uniforms. They have done only awards because they had lesser budgets than others. Now you want to force wards and the councils to have some money to carry as money for, I don't know, tents, PA system at the sub-county level. Why haven't the County Department of Sports made the budgets for the sub-county and county levels? Because you cannot force wards to budget for the activities at the sub-county and the activities at the county level. Honorable Speaker, if they knew this was an imaginary occasion that wards are to finance the sub-county level, then they should have told the councils, together with members of county assembly, when they were budgeting, and at the same time when they were giving public participation, so that members were aware that we will have a certain percentage leaving the ward to the sub-county. From where I sit, the member has only one issue, and that is what they factor, that when they are going to the sub-county, you must set aside the money for the all-stars. And that is what members are always keen to make sure is captured in that ward budget. And I know members have done that. Now for you to say at the sub-county level, we do not have tents, we do not have PA system, and this has to be factored by ward budgets, it's nonsense, Honorable Speaker. It is nonsense. The CEO and the ECM should have known after the ward budgets, there is a sub-county level which needs to be factored, and after that we have a super CAF at the county level that has also to be factored, and they need to have budget. It is worth saying that they do not want to spend from the headquarters. They just want to spend money for the wards. And this we are not going to allow. Let this money go to the young people of Makueni who participated in the wards, Honorable Speaker, and I stand with what Honorable Ben has said, that we cannot allow this. Let them know what they are going to do to manage the sub-county leagues and to manage the county finals. It is not our mandate. They did not tell us, and they did not bring before the Committee on Gender to tell them we will need money to manage the sub-county leagues and the county finals. If they had brought that before the committee, then we would be supporting them now. But if they do not bring it, let the burden not go back to the wards, Honorable Speaker.
Member for Nzawi, Klikalambot.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I just concur with my friends. Some emergency breaks need to be applied on this matter so that we can resolve it. Otherwise, I concur with the members just left the floor that we should not be misused. This is robbery without violence.
Member for Kathonzwenwood.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much, and I want to thank member for Mbitini.
You sound a little bit, your voice is higher than usual.
Sorry, I am, because, Mr. Speaker, I was in a council meeting, my ward sports council meeting over the weekend, and Mr. Speaker, that is when I learned that they have been instructed to surrender 30,000 shillings to the headquarters. Now, one of the committee member asked me, Mheshimiwa, so when we budget at the ward, we are also supposed to surrender again at a given time. So, Mr. Speaker, we can't allow this, Mr. Speaker. Super Cup has not started yesterday, it's not starting today, it's not starting tomorrow. It has been there. Mr. Speaker, let the youth money remain with them and the headquarters do their work. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Balo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I really support the honorable member from Bitini on this. I disagree with the manner in which they are handling this, because where the directives have been clearly spelled, I do not see how they can change and without consulting. That's assuming the body that is supposed to oversight. Because, Mr. Speaker, it is very clear. How do they change and do what we did not direct them to do, and they do not consult? It's like they do not understand what oversight is. And, Mr. Speaker, they must be stopped. They must be stopped that no money will flow to that direction. And, Mr. Speaker, it must be done now. Let them go look for their budget and set their budget clear on that. Thank you.
Honorable Elizabeth Kawembe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also concur with Honorable Ben. Mr. Speaker, the 1 million which was allocated for youth in Movao Kikumene Ward, Mr. Speaker, should be used within Movao Kikumene Ward, Mr. Speaker, because it is me who will do the oversight for that money. Beyond ward level, that, Mr. Speaker, that money should be budgeted from headquarters. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, we truly disagree with the department that our monies should not be used. Let them look for their own budget and do the sub-county and the headquarter KYISA Games. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chairperson, Committee on Sports.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to applaud the members for bringing the joint general statement. It is unfortunate that members are trying to support sports for, amongst their youth in the ward, but the department is trying to curtail their efforts, because these are things that were not happening before, Mr. Speaker. And after members have seen the need to budget so that their youth are well taken care of before they get to the sub-county, someone is trying to eat into that. I do not agree with it. I think it is well stipulated in the regulations that are yet to be laid to this House. So we want to call upon the committee on ABC to slot so that we can bring the guidelines here. We are going to, because they are ready and they have been adopted, we can bring them as early as tomorrow so that members can see that we are not here to defend anybody. So if the department is doing that, then we are not here to sit in for them. Let them carry their cross. The teams from the wards are to be taken up by the department as from sub-county and Super Cup levels. So, Mr. Speaker, we regret that, but we hope that it can be corrected so that members are not discouraged from budgeting for those sports programs. Thank you.
Chairperson, how much time will you require to engage the executive committee member on the issues raised before you respond to this House? Because getting the mood and the concerns of the members, the answers are not with you. Neither are they in the guidelines. And that is clear that members are objected to a certain way of doing things and proposing a different one. Honorable Kawembe, if you listen to her, without beating about the bush, she's saying that the allocation within our ward and its expenditure should be within Kikumene Movao ward, full stop. If there is anyone else who has an interest with his citizens outside Kikumene Movao, then he should apply another expenditure. Is that the case? Is that the case, Honorable Kawembe?
Mr. Speaker, I've said the 1 million allocation for the youth should be used within Muvao, Kikumene Ward, Mr. Speaker, for the teams within Muvao. Because, Mr. Speaker, I remember there was a time, I don't know whether it was Honorable Maneno, who brought statement here, and he said his money was used. It was used. Money for Kadonzweni Ward was used into Lemane Ward, Mr. Speaker. And to avoid that, all the monies from the 30 wards should be used within the wards. That is what I've said. Thank you.
Person, the clerk, these are the directions. That firstly, before I give directions, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, that is well captured in the guidelines. So the monies that every member allocates are not supposed to be used beyond the wards. From the sub-county, it becomes a department's team. So that is well indicated. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, the chair is misleading this House by saying that it's very well captured in the guidelines that are not before the House, Mr. Speaker. That is their document. It's not our document. They have the document. We don't know what it's entailed in that document.
Point, you made a point. Chairperson.
Mr. Speaker, I have just said that we are waiting for the ABC to slot that business so that we bring those guidelines here. I am speaking from a point of knowledge because we are the committee that prepared the report.
Okay, the guidelines have not been adopted by the House?
Yes.
Not yet?
Not yet.
But the guidelines provide for what Honorable Goembe is referring to in simple
yes,
terms.
Mr. Speaker. Positive.
Honorable Member from Bitini, you are informed in advance. That's the point. But that being the case, Honorable Member, Chairperson Committee on sports, with your Vice Chair, whom you nominated to represent you at Uganda. So, and I can see he's still briefing you. But the brief is not important. The brief we want is from the wards, not from Uganda. But having said that, the directions are very simple. That having listened to the contributions by members, there is general concern. Honorable Muthike and all other members are very eloquent that their ward budget are limited to the budget and not of activities of sub-county. Because a sub-county expenditure, then that is an expenditure outside the ward. And therefore, members are concerned about that and aware of the development that have been confirmed by Honorable Maneno. Is that clerk, you communicate to the respective committee member, explain the concerns of members, and have objected to that. Chairperson engage the respective executive committee member, convey that communication and the position of the House and file a report here on when? On Wednesday at 2:30. On Wednesday at 2:30. There are no honorable members. Honorable members have ruled with reasons. One, have ruled there are no sports that are taking place between tomorrow and Wednesday. And older, you don't expect to invite the executive committee member tomorrow and file a report tomorrow. Let us be a little bit reasonable. And I know there are other engagements, there are other reports. What is important is that you have a decision taken on this particular matter and a report reflecting the wishes of the members on Wednesday at 2:30 p.m. And that statement will be the first one to be addressed in the order paper. Honorable member.
Mr. Speaker, we are aware that they are planning to wire this money to the teams by either tomorrow or even today. Can they order to wire all the money after they make final decision? Because they can't wire in bits. We want all our money to be wired to the ward level.
So they want to wire to who? Okay, there seems to be people who are you council members?
Mr. Speaker, we are aware from the forums, they have requested all teams to submit their details by close of business today, so that by tomorrow they can start wiring the money to the captains and the teams. So, Mr. Speaker.
So what is your plea?
My plea was you direct that they give the report tomorrow at 9:30 in the morning.
Honorable members, before I give directions, I want to know, how do we have quorum? We have quorum. Clerk, do you have a quorum? Just a minute. I have a reason as to why. Hold on. I have a reason as to why I want to do so. Clerk, do you have quorum? Can you count? Honorable members, I now put the question. Will as many as of the opinion that the activities on disbursement of funds to the wards be stopped forthwith until matter is determined by the committee, say aye. Aye. Will as many as of our contributors say no. The ayes have it. Honorable members, that is a procedural matter. It's not a substantive motion. It's a procedural matter to determine whether the majority of members are in support of the directive.